This is not a telescope. It is a breadstick, but I know you love to look in the sky. We have an amazing astrophotographer here in the Cozy AI Kitchen to show you how to take your photos and make them into money. Stay tuned. If you're a small business owner, you know that AI is useful for marketing. Especially if you're a photographer, you know that it's an opportunity because AI can do a lot with images and also sound. We're lucky to have Jeremy Likness visit the Cozy AI Kitchen. Chef Likness, welcome to the Cozy AI Kitchen.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. It's exciting to be here.
We're really glad you're here, and your photos are jaw-drop beautiful.
Oh,
so how did you get started in taking pictures of the sky?
Yeah, it was really a funny random thing. I was getting, some people might argue, spam mail from this site that sold all these eclectic items like handheld flamethrowers and whatever, you name it. But they had this device that they said could take pictures of the night sky. And I said, oh, let me check it out because I've always been fascinated with space. And it did what it advertised. It just didn't do it well, but it was enough to get me excited about the prospects of that you could actually take these types of pictures from your own backyard. And so I just dove in headfirst and started researching and maybe buying a lot of equipment and putting it together and troubleshooting, and basically turned my passion for astrophotography into kind of a thing that now I have weekly evening and weekend excursions in outer space. So it worked out quite nicely.
And I know that you're going to show us some pictures of how you do that. And I think you have a telescope instead of a breadstick over there. Can you?
I do actually. In fact,
whoa!
This
so cool.
is an example, and this is actually one of the smaller telescopes that I have. But it does the trick, and it's interesting because I found out there's specific types of cameras that you can get for astrophotography. They have built-in air conditioners to cool them, to reduce the noise, and just all kinds of things. It's a completely different discipline from regular photography for sure.
Well, I understand in your craft you need to be cold, so glad you were in the Cozy AI Kitchen fridge, but maybe can you walk us through how you turn your pictures into your marketplace and talk how AI is something that you use as a material?
Yeah, absolutely. So this really all started with me wanting to lean into AI, right? So I do AI as part of my daytime job, and I wanted to do it in the business, but I wanted to do it with a business owner's mindset. And so I'll start off with Copilot because Copilot comes with 365, and I got 365 for my own business. Hey, it's what I'm familiar with, right? And what I use every day at work anyway. And so what I found out is leaning into Copilot, it can do a lot of things. Now, I've got a prompt where I upload an image and I just say, what about this piece? Now, not everyone would get away with that, right? If that's your first conversation with AI, there's no context. But because of the fact that Copilot remembers past conversations, everything else, it immediately dives into taking a analysis of what I have and coming back with a set of descriptions. It'll tell me what the mood is. It'll tell me how I balance lighting. It'll give me a critique, even tell me ways I could improve on the picture. But most importantly, it tells me how it fits. And it's not afraid. What I love about AI, right? It's not emotional. So if it says, this may not be one of your best pieces, that's okay. I accept it. But it also will say this is outstanding and you've got to do something with this. And so that was really the first layer. And I think a lot of people are familiar with the fact that you can use Copilot to do research and give you tips and tricks. But I leaned into it even more. I said, okay, well, now you've done that. What about my pricing strategy? And here's a little tip for anyone who is looking to sell photography or art. Copilot may be a little over enthusiastic in its pricing. So it wanted me to take a 16 by 24 inch metal print, which probably will cost, it depends on if you print it yourself or not, anywhere between 50 and 150 to print. It's saying a 650 price, which I'm flattered by that. But I said, look, you know me, you know my market. Let's position it for where it's going to exhibit. And you can see it knocked all the prices down. And it actually did give me a bunch of analysis of local photographers and local buyers and motivation. So it's very powerful. And again, I do this as my day job as a programmer, but I do so much coding in my day job that for my business side, I didn't want to think about code. I just wanted to lean on all the tools.
Right.
And I think that's a helpful perspective too.
And Jeremy, as someone who is doing this sort of side hustle, small business owners, of course, don't have time and don't have money. And so you're saying that you're working with Copilot and you're grounding it in your constraints. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. Yes. Yeah, I'm using it to get as much done in as little time as I can, because obviously family and my job take up most of my full-time job take up most of my time. So the part-time job, it's me sitting under the stars holding a camera, and then the rest of all that stuff you have to do for business. And Copilot really fills the gap there, even to the extent of doing things like, I'll ask it, would this piece work as a canvas or as a metal print? And it'll come back and tell me, it'll help me visualize it. And so I've got a visualization of a piece. And the piece, by the way, that I'm sharing, that I have a image of, is like just a lonely rock with a star field. And it's not my typical work. I'll show some more of my typical work, but it was something that kept calling out to me. Like, it's so simple, but I just love the serenity of the scene. And so I was like, can I even make this into a piece or not? So
just took your image and made that kind of faux, kind of a oil painting side edge wrap thing on a canvas. And it's so, first of all, your photo is so beautiful. Already seeing it like that, I want to buy it. But this is something that you do all the time and very quickly, I imagine.
It is. And again, as a programmer, we always want to write our own tools, but I realize that that's a rabbit hole that I end up spending months writing tools and never get anything done with my business, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so here I'm letting the tool do the thing, right? Do the image generation, do the...
Right. So Jeremy, we talk a lot about you can use the model with code and do orchestration, or you can use what's called a harness, right? So you're using the Copilot harness, so you don't have to build it from scratch.
Right.
Excellent.
Exactly right. And then this is an example. I'm not going to read through the text, but I just wanted to share like some of the motions that I go through. So I ask it for product descriptions to market it. But where I really found the inspiration from AI is what AI can do with images and video. And so, for example, I wanted to do a video to share context for the Orion Nebula. I take pictures of a lot of areas within the constellation Orion. It's a very recognizable constellation, has a lot of images that you can pull from it. And I wanted to show people where those images are in relation to the constellation. And so like this piece here is a palm tree with the Orion constellation behind it. And it's kind of just a static image, which looks kind of boring to start out a video. So all I did was ask AI to just do some animation for me. And what it did was it just very subtly had the palm fronds kind of wave in a breeze. So it's enough to know that you're not looking at a still frame, but it doesn't take away from the rest of the image.
Oh, wow. You're making it more lively.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really, when I think of what I do like visually, it's taking the pieces that I have and bringing them to life by building additional context around them. And so this is a great example. This is the Horsehead Nebula and the Flame Nebula. They're basically regions of gas that emit radiation and are really easy to photograph because they're so bright, because they illuminate themselves. And they're wrapped around this bright star called Onatak, which is part of Orion's belt. Okay, so that's the context for this one. But I also have another image where I zoomed in with a higher magnification telescope, and I zoomed in on that Horsehead Nebula.
Right.
And then that gives me more texture and detail. So AI basically gave me the ability to then transition between these two so I can show in context how
Oh,
the two pieces relate to each other.
oh my goodness, there's the horse head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And it does such a seamless job. Like I've
Right.
tried to do these types of transitions manually,
Whoa.
and it just doesn't work out the same.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure like when people see these images and it shows your craft as well.
I hope it does. But yeah, and I also do a lot of behind the scenes videos where I use AI to do things like diagramming and maybe recreate a scene that I didn't video because it was in a hard to reach place and I was focused on getting the target. And so it helps me with storytelling around the images because that's a big part of it as well. And then I would say the last thing that I use AI for is for music. And that's always been my issue is like, do I buy rights to music? Because I don't have the ability to produce music on my own. I'm not musically talented or inclined.
Me neither.
But now with AI, I can use Copilot to build a prompt that I can then pass to an AI engine to actually generate dramatic music for these sequences that I'm sharing.
All right.
And I have an example here. And this one was a example of where I asked for a very dramatic, almost cinematic style sound. And I told it I wanted to give crescendos and have soft periods and light periods. And then I basically just transitioned through my different images and narrate basically how they relate to each other while the music's playing. And then at the end of the day, I end up with a piece like this, which is really just a few of the emission spectrum of the Orion Nebula. If you notice, that image didn't have any stars in it. And that was on purpose because I purposely wanted to focus on the structure of the actual nebula itself. So,
Well, when you started playing that music and it's running, I'm a sci-fi fan. I wanted to watch the whole movie.
oh, wow. Yeah, it's exciting. In fact, someone even told me, and this is another way I'm going to lean into AI actually, is they said it's very popular to just have these long, like 3-hour videos that just fade between multiple images, right? And just play soft music in the background. I'm like, oh yeah, I can put AI to work on writing that for me all day long. So
that would be very soothing YouTube to watch instead of the non-soothing YouTube to watch.
yeah, exactly.
You're welcome. Excellent. Well, I mean, as someone who is a software developer by day, small business hobbyist by night, space looker, and finding ways to take your ideas and turn them into a side hustle. When you think of everyone out there who's a small business owner who may not be as technical as you, what's the advice you give to them in this AI moment? I know many people make this face like this, but how do we in the cozy AI world help them?
Yeah, I think there's two things to it. It's actually interesting because even here in my remote rural place here on the coast in Oregon, our local community college has AI classes where they teach people how to use AI for their business. So that's one way to start. I do some of that coaching as a volunteer locally because so many people in my community ask about that. But my advice and what I tell everyone is get comfortable with it. I think a lot of people feel like they have to, because of the past, right? They think they have to translate into some certain jargon or speech, or they're like, I had a friend ask me, oh, I want to take all these places and put them as pins on a map. How can AI show me how to do that? I said, well, ask AI. Well, how do I ask it? I said, well, how did you ask me? Well, I said, I said, say the same thing to AI. And then so he said it and it came back and it's like, use this software. He's like, but I don't have that software. I said, well, tell it. Okay, but I don't have the software. Oh, here's where you download. Here's how to. So I say lean into it. Like don't confuse it for another human being, but do understand that it is designed to have a conversation with you. And if you can just ask it the things and tell it the details that you would a person that's troubleshooting, you might be amazed at the things they can come up with. And I'll give one really quick example, if I may. I created a piece that was an experimental piece that I wanted to generate as a hologram, make it 3-dimensional, because I'm always trying different ways to present. And so I did a ton of research on my own. I found a place. I paid a lot of money to have a special effects firm turn my 2D image into a 3D image. And then I went to a printer and printed it on what's called lenticular, which is hologram material. A few months later, I was thinking, oh, I wonder how much Copilot can tell me about doing it on my own. And literally, when I uploaded the image and said, how would I get this turned into 3D? It said, oh, well, the process is this. Would you like me to do it for you? And I went, what? Yes. And boom, it generated and saved me probably about $1,200 on fees of rendering it through a studio when Copilot was able to do it on its own. So lean into it, ask questions, and follow it, because you can get, and everything is also verify, right? I mean, I don't take everything at face value. I think, for example, for pricing, I have to ground in reality, but it saves me so much time, and I've done so much more for my business than I ever could have if I hadn't decided to lean into AI.
Well, I love that, Chef Likness. You're saying that if you need help figuring out AI, just go ask AI. Thank you so much. And small business owners out there or photo enthusiasts, you know where to go. Keep on being tuned in and make. See you.
See you.